Welcome back then folks to day 3 of Special Projects pack number 20, and as I always like to do, there's a one or two sprinklings of more normal cars in with the racing stuff and over the top builds which we do, and this one is a car which always fascinated me. It's kind of like a best of both worlds car, if you will, between the different versions of the Audi TT Quattro at the time. If you came up playing games, as many of us did, like TDU, you'll probably have some memories of a car like this, and in fact it was this car, the TT Quattro Sport, and although many people don't realise what this car actually is or might not be familiar with it, it's not a convertible version. That's not why we've painted the roof black. It's actually a version of the TT which was finished in this black roof with the 3.2 style aero kit, so it's a subtle change, but the front bumper's different obviously, the rear wing, the twin pipes, etc, but it actually has the 1.8 engine instead of the 3.2. But here's the thing, it has the same power level as the 3.2 from the 1.8 engine. So what you end up with is a two-seater version with extra anti-roll. It's lighter, significantly lighter in fact, than the 3.2 version, and it's as quick, if not a little bit quicker. So it's a really special, almost like a rally kind of vibe, or a little, I don't know, club sport racer vibe maybe of the TT, and it's funny how quickly time progressed, because this car at the time was properly quick, and these days it wouldn't even be on the radar compared to most hot hatches, and it's only within the past roughly 20 years that kind of change has happened. So this one is one of those where I decided to do the livery myself. A few other players had done it, but I wanted it to have a bit of a change in terms of the license plate, different small details like that, and I've done it in 3 different colours. I've done it in silver, of course, which you could see there. I've also done it in blue and red, and for the OCD among us, all 3 are Audi colours, so it has that authenticity factor as well. For the build itself, it's a pretty easy one to do. So you want your stage 1 weight, because of course we do need to drop it. We've got the comfort softs on there already. It seemed kind of appropriate to leave that as is, because I didn't want to go too crazy on the point level. As far as the club sport stuff, I've uprated the clutch and flywheel, because why not, really? Obviously the real car is a manual, if I recall correctly. I don't think they actually sold an auto version of the TT Sport, whereas here in the game you could see just now, it does have the more like DSG, like a Golf R32 style box on this car, an auto in other words. We've got the power restrictor and the ballast. For the semi-racing stuff, the limited slip diff and the height adjustable sport suspension. For the racing stuff, all the way down here, we've got the torque vectoring center diff, and that's about it for that. For the extreme section, again, it's not entirely accurate, but I wanted the handling to at least feel a bit different to the normal version, to have some kind of change, you know, rather than just dropping the weight and giving it a black roof. So it actually does have a more unique handling signature, so I have gone for that angle adapter. And for the ultimate stuff, there's nothing. So like I said, I always like to have at least a couple of more normal cars, and this is certainly one of the more affordable, that's for sure, in terms of what you actually need to do to it. Now, if we jump back into the garage, we've got the comfort softs, of course, on there. As you can see, under 480 points, so it really is not that high at all. And for a car that's under 1,400 kilos, with 240 or so horsepower, that's not bad. It's pretty healthy to be working with, especially with the potential advantage when it comes to grip of four-wheel drive as well. So for the suspension, we've got 130mm on the ride height, which sounds pretty high, but like you can see, I wanted, again, to not have it too slammed, because you want it to look like a stock TT Sport would look in the game. So to go back to the suspension again, 1 of course is the fixed amount on the anti-roll, 25 and 45 on the dampers, 2.05 on the spring, so a little bit stiffened up but nothing too crazy, a little bit of camber, 0.5, the toe is naturally there but you can't adjust it of course. For the diff, I've opted for 1010 on the front, 30 on the rear. Give that a try. I will say this one does have more understeer than you might be expecting, and that is mostly due to the 50-50 split, which of course having that huge amount of front end grip is, especially at the time, one of the things that the TT was really known for. So it's pretty easy to change that if you do find it too heavy. Just roll that down to like a 40-60 or whatever, and you'll have a bit more of a tail happy version of the car. So that's nice and easy to change. Or of course, if you already drive a TT and have a preferred diff setup, by all means go for that. For the transmission, of course, that was standard. I've reduced the power restrictor by 1%, which thankfully gives us exactly the right amount of power. 237, which is pretty cool. Of course the engine's way too big, but unfortunately there's nothing we can do about that. For the ballast, you want 38 kilos to bring us up to at least what I could find as the real world weight of the car. It definitely is one of those cars where different websites say different things though, so that could be a bit lighter than it actually is. Maybe that's the dry weight, but again, let's have some fun with it. At least if you can find it somewhere online, you can always have the excuse that you have that source for it. So again, you know, base it on whatever website you want, I guess, when it comes to those specs. I've left the ballast in the centre. For the ECU, of course, that was normal anyway, no downforce to worry about. And over here, really nothing to do at all. So if you download my version or another player's version, whatever the case may be, slap this build on there, and then of course all that remains is to jump out to a circuit and show you what this car can do in practice. As I already alluded to, it does have a bit of understeer, which is kind of what the TT has anyway, even in its standard form. And again, it is on comfort tyres, it's a road car build, it's nothing too insane, don't expect it to blow your mind. This is, as I've done before, more of just a variation kind of build. It's for the collector, for the fan of cars which just aren't in the game. It's not necessarily a car which you're going to expect the world from, it's just something different. And let's be honest, the Audi TT doesn't really get too much love in Gran Turismo. It's kind of a shame that it doesn't even have like crazy motor swaps or even putting the VR6 engine into other cars, which I personally would love. I mean, building a front wheel drive Golf R32 equivalent with this swapped into a Golf would be cool. If you've got a TT lying around and you're doing nothing with it, which I'm sure is probably the case for many players in this game, then maybe you could try this out. So stick around for the rest of the builds over the coming week, or the rest of the week I should say, and of course check out the ones which we've already done. But for now, thanks for watching.